Good day, podcast community. We have a special guest. We're actually on special needs. I love when we're doing special needs podcasting. And Davida is joining us. And I'm going to have her introduce who she is, what she does, and who she serves. And then we're going to get into the show. So, Davida, share with our listeners a little bit your name, what you do, and who you serve.
Okay, well, thank you for having me. My name is Davida Shensky. I'm a career and personal development strategy coach,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been in business for over 40 years. And basically started my business because there were few opportunities for people with disabilities in the workplace, and I had an education, and I was not someone that was going to sit around and do nothing all day. I have to be busy,
Mm-hmm.
and got into, because it was all offline at the time, into professional speaking and training, working with corporations and doing train the trainer sessions and selling companies assessment profiles. And as the internet grew, I moved online, and now I'm at a stage where I'm a career and personal development strategy coach, where I work with people who are looking to develop better skills in their personal life and in their careers. But I'm doing it more now by creating challenges and creating my e-learning courses online.
Mm-hmm.
And currently I use Go High Level platform because their system of integration with their CRM. And if you have clients and you want to work with them, you can keep it as a separate, you can set yourself up as an agency and have different subcategories for your clients, and keep and be able to work on their on their company and their issues separately, and keep it where you can access it all.
That's that. So, what type of clients are you servicing? Is it
I,
people with disabilities or just generally people that need life coaching?
I've done more in the area of just generally working with people who are in life coaching, or women who are older who have left the job market to raise their
Yeah.
kids and are now looking to get back into the job market and are more interested in starting their own business
Hmm.
because it's much more flexible. And we talk about remote working, but remote working actually started in the 90s when women wanted to stay home and take care of their kids, and companies were going through temp agencies to hire people that you paid for the training. And once you completed the training, all you had to do is log online and be their customer service or salesperson, because Apple, Comcast, Microsoft, all these companies have most of their workers working remotely rather than opening up these big offices.
What? Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. So, for the people out there in our community, so you have a remote worker and you have the people that are going into an office. What do you feel as a coach? What are the advantages of working in an office, and what are the advantages of working remotely?
Well, you have some people that are undisciplined and they need to work in the office, because if not, they're very scattered, they're not disciplined. If you are a disciplined person that you know how to manage your time effectively, then you can work from home as long as you have a room that you set up as your office, and
Mhm.
you close your door and you put your on the door the hours that you are working, and you let your family know that you do not need want to be disturbed during those hours. And that outside of those hours or during a lunch break, they're welcome.
No, I like that. I recently went to and have been learning about boundaries. So I think that falls into setting those boundaries for your family members, because without them, obviously you could get interrupted during an important meeting. What would you, so back, let's backtrack a little bit. What got you into coaching? What was your driving force that you decided, I want to get into this industry?
But I already had that training as a counselor in mental health, and getting into coaching, it was just a matter of, it was without the master's, without the PhD, I can, and getting the certification as a career coach and getting the certification as a life coach, then it gave me the skills I needed to be able to work from home and work remotely.
Hmm. What would you say when you are working with clients? Do you work? Um, is it a short period of time? Is it based on needs, or do you have a set program that you offer your clients?
Okay, now what I have is, for those who want advanced training, they can get paid for it by the year. If they're just starting out, they can either buy it in 3 months blocks, 6 months blocks, or 9 months blocks, determining on what their needs are. Because each individual, when they first get started, may not know exactly what they're looking for.
Hmm. What do you say there's a lot of years that you have experience in it. Has there been a change in how you acquire new clients versus maybe 10 years ago?
There is, it's, you have relationships online and marketing online is very different than how you marketed prior to the internet, because as a speaker you had to have that video, you had to have the one page, you had to have the brochures, and that got to be expensive. And if things were not printed up right, they had to be reprinted. By setting up a website and then setting up your sales funnels and doing your videos and putting it all online, it's like, for the same reason that you can do what you're doing with your podcast and stream it into Facebook, stream it into, well, they're all calling me now too.
Oh, now they want you.
Yeah, of course they do.
Do you find that since
But
streaming?
what I was saying was that when you look at how things were done in the past, you had to have money and overhead to really build a business.
Mhm.
Today, by building a business online, you can do it on pennies. It's just a matter of, if you're paying someone to manage your website for you, manage your sales funnels, and how they're going to market your business, then you need someone that has the skills, that know what they do, or have had training. And then today, it's almost, whereas, just to show you just how careers have changed,
Mhm.
a a graphic designer is also a website designer, and you really had to design it. But today, almost anyone can design a website, because you've got panels you can bring in, you've got little things that you can add to it. And it's just a matter of, do you want to do it yourself, or do you want to pay someone to do it?
Mhm.
Now,
What's your feelings like? Because there's a lot of do-it-yourselfers out there. So, where do you draw the line as a professional of really seeking out the help or doing it yourself? Do you have a philosophy of how you handle that?
depends on the individual. Like, do I want to spend the time doing it? Does it do I feel I have better control over it, or do I want to pay someone? Now, when you're first getting started, you may start doing it and wearing all hats, but eventually, as you start earning more and more money, you can take each piece and start farming them out. It depends on the individual and
Mm.
what your skills are, what you want to learn, because it's better off that you understand exactly what you're paying someone for. And it's like, now, if you look at prior to being software developers, that back in the day, that was data processing, that was learning DOS, and now it's just putting coding in.
Hmm. Yeah, it's definitely gotten easier in some of those modalities of doing that kind of stuff. You hear outsource, so I think it's not like you look at AI, how it's coming on. How are you using AI to build your business?
Well, I here's a good example of how I do it. I'm creating courses, right? And I used to look for articles that pertain to it. Now I go into Chat GTP, and what I do is I'll put in what I'm looking for, and it just lays it out in a way that it sounds like my words,
Yeah.
or I can go back and clean it up and make it sound more like me. And you can go in and create videos yourself for marketing, because there's platforms for that where they all you do. In fact, if you have like, I'll go into Chat GTP, ask them to give me a script, and then I plug it in, and then the video comes out using the script.
Wow. Yeah, that is. I like what you said there, because video creation takes time, and if you don't need like really high end, and you need just an intro video or something that's not requiring a lot of time, yeah, you can have it created in no time. And you're right, putting the script in there allows you to communicate in a avenue that can benefit people when they're looking at, they want to hear something. What do you say, like, to the people that are thinking about coaching? What would you invite? How would you advise them today? Is there better opportunity than there were 25 years ago, or what do you think about
I
the?
think there's much more opportunity now because you can work with someone remotely, whether you use Zoom, whether you use StreamYard, where there's many different ways that you can do it online. And it just depends on whether or not you're going to work with a client locally who wants to meet with you one on one, or whether you're going to go and work with someone in a totally different city or state,
Mm-hmm.
and the time zones, and being aware of what the time zones are.
Yep. So, and we talked before we went on the air, and that you lived up in Atlanta. What took you down to Florida besides the storms?
Well, what happened was my family wanted to buy me a place, and it was too expensive in Atlanta. And at the time where I'm living now, the apartment cost $20,000. And then we went in and remodeled it and fixed it up and made the bathroom accessible with a built in seat.
That makes sense. Yeah, there's so many options out there, and you have to kind of research it and see where's the best for you. What would you, for somebody that, is thinking about getting into podcasting, what advice would you give them?
Did you get into what?
Podcasting? What
Oh,
would you?
podcasting. It's I've seen where people ask questions like, how do you get started? What do you, it's very simple. When I started on Blog Talk Radio, all I did was pick up a phone, call in, and do what I was going to do. Today, you've got the built-in webcams. You just decide which platform you want to use, which is the most reasonable, and just get started. It's not like it's rocket science to do a podcast.
Yeah.
But some people, it's like I know someone that back when I started podcasting, he was also a distributor for Inkscape Publishing, and he wanted to do a podcast in communication. He registered, set it up, didn't follow through because he didn't think he had enough to talk about when it came to communication.
Mm,
Communication covers so many different aspects. He could have found an astronomical number of things to talk about.
I agree with you. I hear similar things, and and I have a friend that went way out and bought a studio, not a studio, but really got it built out. And I think we tend to want to have it's the people that build this elaborate website and they haven't got their first customer, and so you got to get those clients in the door first, then you can gradually get the other things. But yeah, really with StreamYard, it's pretty simple. They have quite a bit of flexibility on how you do things, where it can go, and if you want to do a webinar, if you want to record locally. I'm wondering, like a friend of mine said, well, we'll have to see because they were bought out by, I think, the Evernote people. And he said, time will tell whether things change. What's your feelings on it?
When it comes to podcasting, I think it depends on the individual because I guess it's like people on Quora will ask questions about being a motivational speaker or how do you get started? And it's that fear, that inner
Yeah.
fear inside them, their fear of failure, their fear of success,
Yep.
that if you just do it, you'll get more experience and you'll feel more comfortable. If you're going to let that fear take over, then it's going to stop you no matter what you're doing and no matter what industry you're in.
I like what you say there. Davida, tell our viewers, how can they get a hold of you if they're wanting a life coach and they're in the Florida area, or obviously you can do it remotely. Give our viewers an idea, or tell them how they can get a hold of you.
They can get a hold of me by my email, which is info@onepersonalcareercoach.com, or they can call me at 404-655-5159. And all they have to do is leave me a message. I don't always answer the phone if because I get too many spam calls.
Yep.
And if I don't recognize it, I will block it. So if it shows up as a name and a number, I'm more likely to call back.
Yeah, that's what I do. I don't mind giving my number out because I only answer it if I know who's calling. So what would you say as we close down and we finish up? What would be the one thing you want our viewers to take home with them from our podcast today?
Well, the thing is how you feel about yourself. If you love yourself, then others can love you. If you don't know how to love yourself, then what you're doing is you're basically putting up a roadblock. Because to be open to a good relationship and a healthy relationship, it's like what was it J.D. Vance said, that women should stay with men whether they beat them up or not? Well, is he also saying it's okay for women to beat up on men?
Yeah.
Because that goes two ways.
Yes. Yes. Well, we saw it in the Olympics. The man was beating up on the woman. Well, the woman was beating up. I don't know what it was. It was messed up, whatever it was. So, Davida, I want to thank you for being a guest on our show. And we appreciate you coming to us from Florida, which we know we got some storms down there. So,
Well,
stay
they
stay
left
safe.
us. They left us. They're now headed up
Ooh.
the Atlantic by Savannah and Charleston.
Well, I hope they pass. I'm going to Myrtle Beach next week. So hopefully they move quick and they move out. So thank you so
But
much.
by next week, they will be gone.
We appreciate you. Thank you for being with us. We
And
appreciate your time.
thank you for having me.
I'm glad. It was our pleasure.